Welcome to the Global Issues Daily. I'm your host. We spend our entire lives surrounded by this invisible infrastructure. It's an electronic safety net of satellites, cellular towers, and frequency waves that we honestly just take for granted. We rarely question it. But out there on the global map, there are specific coordinates where the established rules of modern physics seem to be, well, completely suspended. Today, our Explitter focuses on Earth's dead zones. These are highly anomalous regions where the fundamental tools of human navigation and communication simply cease to exist. It is a genuinely terrifying premise, right? What happens when our technology just dies? Think about it, we literally cannot imagine a single day of our modern lives without it. But what happens when our absolute, total dependence on these invisible signals meets a localized natural force that simply shuts them all off? What happens to our presumed mastery over the natural world when every monitor goes black, every radio goes violently silent, and every compass needle just spins completely out of control? Okay, let's dive into this. Today we're going to cover the illusion of control, the Bermuda Triangle anomaly, Mexico's zone of silence, the 1970 Athena rocket crash, and finally we'll wrap up with the scientific explanations and theories. Starting with Chapter 1, the illusion of control. Our reliance on invisible signals. The very foundation of our global logistics, and honestly our personal daily routines, relies entirely on constant connectivity. Mobile phones process millions of data packets per second, global shipping routes and commercial flights depend exclusively on GPS, and vehicle navigation systems run entirely on complex electronics. This infrastructure is so incredibly reliable that it's created this profound collective illusion. We've become so deeply dependent on these interconnected systems that we genuinely believe we've conquered the natural world. We just assume that a signal sent will always be a signal received. But as you'll see, the reality of our infrastructure is far, far more fragile than we care to admit. Moving to Chapter 2, the Bermuda Triangle Anomaly, the Atlantic's most infamous dead zone. For well over a century, this specific section of the Atlantic Ocean has been infamous for the thin, totally unexplained disappearances of maritime vessels and military airplanes. But what makes this genuinely chilling isn't just the fact that massive machines vanish into thin air. It's the very specific, terrifying sequence of events leading up to those disappearances. Consider the famous case of Flight 19 back in 1945, where a squadron of 5 US Navy bombers completely vanished. Reports from survivors of similar encounters and those final frantic radio calls from lost crews consistently describe the exact same phenomenon. Pilots report this strange electronic fog. They describe a bizarre, glowing mist that physically surrounds their aircraft, acting as an immediate catalyst that just deadens all electronic systems. Compasses begin to spin wildly, radios go completely dead. The very navigational tools meant to guide them safely home become essentially entirely useless. So we are faced with two distinctly different perspectives on these events. On one hand, we have the mainstream scientific explanations. Researchers often attribute these disasters to extreme, rapidly forming localized weather patterns, or even massive underwater methane gas emissions. The theory there is that large pockets of methane erupting from the ocean floor can significantly reduce the water's density, causing ships to suddenly lose buoyancy and sink like a stone, while atmospheric methane could stall out aircraft engines. But, on the other hand, we face the staggering volume of the unexplained. The sheer number of ships and planes lost, coupled with those identical reports of mass electronic failures and uncontrollable compasses right before they disappear, really heavily challenges the standard scientific consensus. It's extraordinarily difficult to simply dismiss such a massive, consistent pattern of electronic death as just mere coincidence or isolated bad weather. Which brings us to Chapter 3, Mexico's Zone of Silence, the terrestrial dead zone in the Chihuahuan Desert. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it compares to the oceanic anomaly of the Bermuda Triangle. Unlike the triangle, which is characterized by its shifting, treacherous waters and moving targets, the Zona del Silencio, or the Zone of Silence, down in northern Mexico, is entirely terrestrial. It's a fixed, unchanging geographical anomaly. It is not moving. It's an area of vast, dry land that exhibits a total atmospheric absorption of radio waves. And because of that, it is, by all accounts, perhaps even more scientifically perplexing than its oceanic counterpart. Mainly because researchers can actually walk right into it, map the whole Chiang, and experience the technological blackout firsthand. The absolute second you cross the invisible boundary into this specific patch of the Chihuahuan Desert, your technological lifeline is completely severed. Radio signals vanish entirely. Mobile phone networks drop to absolute zero. even basic short-range walkie-talkies simply cease to function. The region acts as a literal dead zone where absolutely no radio wave can enter or leave. And, mimicking the terrifying reports from the Atlantic we just talked about, a physical compass needle in the zone refuses to point north. Instead, it spins completely out of control. When researchers enter this space, they are instantly stripped of over a century of technological progress. They literally have to navigate using the stars and physical paper maps. It's as if the very air itself contains a mysterious force capable of absorbing and neutralizing every single frequency of electronic wave. Let's look at Chapter 4, the 1970 Athena rocket crash, the catalyst that exposed the Zone of Silence. Back in 1970, this undeniable timeline began when the United States military launched an Athena test rocket from the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. Now, the Athena was a massive, multi-stage, highly sophisticated piece of military hardware designed for precise atmospheric testing. It was supposed to follow a routine, strictly monitored trajectory, yet mid-flight, the highly sophisticated guidance systems inexplicably failed. The rocket deviated thousands of miles off its intended course, and where did it ultimately land? It crashed precisely in the center of the Chihuahuan Desert, right in the heart of the Zone of Silence. This was a colossal, heavily tracked projectile, and it basically appeared to be pulled directly into the anomaly. So naturally, the United States military immediately dispatched a highly equipped team of recovery engineers to locate the wreckage and secure the site. They arrived with the absolute most advanced field communication technology available at the time. But upon entering the crash site, every single communication system they brought completely failed. The localized dead zone didn't just seemingly bring down a massive multi-stage rocket, it actively neutralized the military recovery team's ability to communicate with the outside world or even coordinate their operations. This singular, highly documented incident is what really catapulted the Zone of Silence from local folklore into international infamy, pretty much forcing the global scientific community to take notice. And finally, Chapter 5, Scientific Explanations and Theories, Decoding the Magnetic Anomalies. And this brilliantly illustrates the ongoing debate, because researchers and geologists have proposed several theories to explain this undeniable atmospheric disruption. One heavily researched scientific theory suggests that there are massive, unprecedented deposits of magnetic ore located deep underground, right beneath the desert floor. These rich deposits could theoretically create an intense, highly localized magnetic field capable of just shredding standard radio frequencies. Others propose a more celestial explanation, suggesting the area acts as a unique vortex where specific cosmic energies from space directly collide with the Earth's surface due to its specific latitude. And finally, there's a highly compelling theory regarding meteorites. See, the Chihuahuan Desert has a heavily documented history of ancient, massive meteorite strikes. In fact, the famous El Indy meteorite fell in this exact region in 1969. That's literally just a year before the Athena crash. Researchers point out that the volume of extraterrestrial material embedded in this specific desert is so incredibly high that the soil itself has become inherently magnetic, permanently altering the electromagnetic landscape of the region. Whether it's dense underground ore, atmospheric weather anomalies, or magnetic soil rich with ancient meteorites, the collected data points to one undeniable truth. Our Earth still holds zones that completely reject human engineering. Which leaves us with a final, rather provocative question. Do we truly control our technology? Or are there massive, ancient natural forces operating on our planet that we have yet to even begin to understand? These dead zones serve as a stark, frankly humbling reminder of our fundamental vulnerability, proving that despite all our brilliant advancements, nature always holds the ultimate override switch. Thank you so much for joining me for this Explicker. If you value this kind of deep, factual analysis of international affairs and geographic mysteries, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more premium explainers from the Global Issues Daily. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time.